Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I introduce, my name is Vita Erviana. My student number is 20524018. And I'm from Methodology Study Islam A class. And now I will explain about the material from the meeting 1 until meeting 13. So, in the meeting 1, we discuss about the introduction of Islamic studies methodology. The course began by introducing the concept of Islamic studies methodology. We learned that methodology is the science of methods used to study a subject systematically. So in Islamic studies, methodology helps us to understand Islam scientifically rather than relying only on personal opinions or assumptions. So, when we study about the methodology Islam in the first meeting, we know that Islam is help us to understanding not just based on the personal opinions, but there is some methodology to use to get the valid assumption. After we learn about the foundation of methodology study Islam, we will go to the second material. So the meeting 2 discuss about the history and development of Islamic studies. After we understanding about the definition of Islam studies, we explore its historical development. What's that? So in the meeting 2, we discuss about the history and development of Islam studies. After understanding about the definition of Islam, we must know about the historical of Islam study. Islamic civilization reached its golden age between 750 and 1258 centuries, producing great Muslim scholars such as Al-Khawarizmi and Ibn Sina. Knowledge flourished through famous educational institutions like Nizamiyah in Baghdad, Al-Azhar in Cairo, and Cordoba in Spain. Islamic studies later developed in Western universities through Orientalist research and eventually became an interdisciplinary academic field. In Indonesia, for example, Islamic education evolved from traditional pesantren to modern Islamic university, including the transformation of IAIN to UIN. And then, after we know about the historical of Islamic studies, we will discuss in the meeting 3 with the title Religion in Human Life. So after we know about the concept or foundation, then we know about the history. Now we will learn about how religion can affect the human life. This meeting shifts the focus from history to human life. We discuss why religion is essential for every human being. Religion provides spiritual guidance by strengthening the relationship between humans and God. Of course, it also functions as a moral compass, encouraging ethical behavior, strengthening social solidarity, and provide psychological comfort during life's challenges. However, religion also faces modern challenges such as globalization and then secularization and rapid technological development. Therefore, Muslims are encouraged to understand religion contextually while preserving its fundamental values. Religion is not only a belief system, but also an important foundation for individual and social life. And then, after we know about the importance of religion in human's life, we will learn about the characteristic and dimension of Islamic teachings in meeting 4. So the characteristic and dimension of Islamic teachings, how Islam teach us about the knowledge in Islam. After understanding the importance of religion, we examine what makes Islam unique. Islam possesses several distinctive characteristics. It is Robbaniyah. Robbaniyah, its meaning organized from Allah. It's Shumuliyah, covering every aspect of life. It is also Wasatiyah, promoting moderation and balance, and Alamiyah, making Islam universal for all humanity. So there is some aspects to teach Islam, such as I said, Rubbaniyah, Shumuliyah, and others. Islam also consists of several dimensions, including Aqidah. Aqidah is closest with belief. Yes, Aqidah is when we believe to Allah, and number 2 is ibadah or worship, akhlak, morality, as well as social, political, and economic aspect. Okay, so Islam is a comprehensive way of life that provides guidance in both spiritual and worldly matters. After we learn about the characteristic and dimension of Islamic teachings, we will go to the next material in meeting 5. Islam as a cultural phenomenon. It's look interesting, yes? Islam as a cultural phenomenon. This meeting explained that Islam is not only a divine religion but also a social and cultural reality. As Islam spread throughout the world, it interacted with local cultures through peaceful dakwah. In Indonesia, for example, this interaction produced many forms of cultural acculturation without changing the essential teachings of Islam. Example includes the Sekaten Festival, Grebeg Maulid, Wayang Kulit performance, and then architecture of the Demak Mosque, which reflects local Javanese tradition. Also, as long as the cultural is not contract with Islam principle, it can be practiced. And then in the meeting 6, after we know about the cultural, so we will learn about the methods of Islamic studies. There are some methods to studies of Islam. So in this meeting we will learn about that. Having understood Islam's characteristic and cultural interaction, we learn different methods of studying Islam. The Bayani approach focuses on understanding the Quran and Hadith through textual analysis. So, the Bayani methods is focused on the contextual approach. And the Burhani approach emphasizes logical reasoning and scientific thinking. The Irfani approach highlights spiritual experience and intuition. And finally, the scientist approach combines these methods to provide a balanced understanding. The last approach is synthesis approach that combine all of the methods to provide balanced understanding. These methods help Muslims avoid blind fanatics while encouraging critical and open-minded thinking. Different methods complement one another in developing a comprehensive understanding of Islam. So after we know about the methods of Islamic studies, we will learn about the research on religion and religious studies in meeting 7. In this topic in meeting 7, research on religion and religious studies, the course then introduces research methodology in Islamic studies. We learn the difference between research on religion, which studies Islamic doctrines and sacred texts, and research on religious life, which examines how religion is practiced in society. This distinction helps researchers choose appropriate methods depending on the focus of their studies. Islamic research can focus either on religious teachings or on the social realities of religious communities. So after we know about the differences of research and religion, we must know about the models of Quranic interpretation in meeting 8. In the meeting 8, we will learn about the models of Quranic interpretation. So after we learn about research methods, we focus on the Quran as the primary source of Islam. So in the meeting 8, we just learned that Quran is the primary source of Islamic studies. Several interpretation models were introduced, including Tahlili, Ijmali, Muqarran, and Maudu'i. This approach enables scholars to understand the Quran systematically while considering both textual meaning and historical context. The Quran should be interpreted through proper methodologies to avoid misunderstanding its message. So after we learn about the Quran as the primary source of Islam, in the meeting 9, we will learn about the Hadith research methodology. So Hadith is the source 2 of Islamic studies. In this meeting 9, we studied Hadith as the second primary source of Islamic teaching. So number 1 is Quran, and number 2 of source of Islam is Hadith. We learn methods for verifying the authenticity of Hadith through sanad criticism, examining the chain of narrators, and matan criticism. These methods ensure that Muslim relies on authentic prophetic tradition. Modern Hadith studies also integrate historical and contextual analysis to better understand the Prophet's teachings. And then, after we learn about the Quran and the Hadith from the meeting 8 and meeting 9, we will learn in meeting 10 with the theme of Ijtihad as a source and method of Islamic studies. So the source of Islam, Quran, Hadith, and now we will learn about Ijtihad. Ijtihad allows Muslim scholars to solve contemporary issues that are not explicitly discussed in the Quran or Hadith. So Ijtihad is to decide something with nothing in Quran or Hadith. It demonstrates that Islam is flexible enough to address new social, economic, technological, and ethical challenges while remaining faithful to Islamic principles. Ijtihad ensures that Islamic teachings remain relevant in every era. Wow! In the meeting 10, we know about that Islam is a flexible religion. Okay, after we learn about the primary source of Islam such as Quran, Hadith, Ijtima, and then in the meeting 11, we will discuss about the collaboration Islamic studies from historical, social, and cultural perspective. So in the meeting 11, we will learn about the perspective of our point of view by someone. Using this perspective allows researchers to understand Islam as both a religion, teaching, and social phenomenon. Islam should be understood within its historical, social, and cultural context because it's important to, of course. We will go to the next material in the meeting 12. In the meeting 12, we will discuss about the contemporary Islamic studies. What's that? This discussion then of modern Islamic studies emphasize interdisciplinary approaches, contextual interpretation, and global perspective. Islamic studies continues to evolve in response to contemporary issues. So, we will go to the next material in the meeting 13. Overall reflection. So, the final meeting drew together everything we have learned throughout the semester. From understanding the concept of Islamic studies to applying its methodologies in addressing contemporary challenges, the course taught us that Islam should be studied scientifically while remaining firmly rooted in the Quran and Hadith. So we must keep the primary source of Islam is Quran and Hadith, and then Ijtihad, nothing else. So I think it's enough for me. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.